I don't think we've discussed it enough.
I agree.
Majority of the delegates are JHS leavers. Look, to be very clear, I'm not saying because they are not much lettered, they are not intelligent. No, that's not the argument. But my argument is that most of the issues we are raising, okay, we are talking about bias here, we are talking about the incompetence of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration, the harm they unleashed on us, etc. My question is, and a lot of this is written in English, okay, and then we are doing data, we are comparing with other democracies here and there. So these JHS leavers, the question I'm asking is, so how sophisticated are they in terms of thinking beyond the party elections? Are they properly educated to be able to look at the larger picture? Because even with university degrees, today, you know, university degrees, we no longer think them sufficient. So you add a master's, etc.
Even that.
Yes, even that. There are issues, right? The way we analyze here and there. So much less a JHS leaver. So that composition, did you say 41% or so? Musah Dankwa, what was the figure?
Yeah, that's true.
41% of the delegates are JHS leavers. And they're determining the future of our democracy, I mean, more or less, in terms of bringing a candidate. So we should be looking at the composition of the quality, because it's a big problem. We haven't said anybody is not intelligent, but we are also saying that to be able to look, these things we are analyzing, reading around, etc. What's the capacity of these persons to do such reading? What's the capacity of these persons to do such reading, such analysis? Think about Ghana first, etc. Right? Their living conditions. So I think that too is a bigger problem. That's how come last week where I said Evans Duyer's poll looked more rational, because it can't just be all visceral, just my tummy, everything about visceral politics, everything about identity politics. There's supposed to be a modicum of room for rational thought as well. You see, right. So going forward, the NPP should be looking at that. Look, when we were in university, those days, it was the opposite. NDC, there is no to meet openly. It was in the night. And if you were caught, openly NDC, it was like a crime. They said, you pa, how can you make it to university and be NDC? Even you remember Honorable Dafiameko corroborated it. Sometimes they even pond you that, those days if you made it to uni, I'm talking about, look, I'm representing the raw statements. I'm not saying it's scientific, but how it was those days in University of Ghana. Right. NDC, they would meet in the night. Sometimes I had a roommate. You'll be there, Kpebu, at the group.
I want us to let me end the point.
Etc. So it wasn't sexy to be NDC. So what I'm saying is that, so people who went to school were automatically to be what? NPP. And then NDC was represented as a party of the masses, the grassroots people, riff-raff, so to speak.
Right.
Just about 25, 27 years on, the thing is 10. Musah Dankwa's poll shows that now NDC has more intellectuals than NPP. And no wonder then, to make it worse, even their delegate system is is largely made up of people holding JHS certificates. They are dead.
Okay, but you see, it's rumors about whether they will change Afenyo marking or whatever it is. I say here, and everybody knows where I stand when it comes to Dr. Bawumia. Okay, but when it comes to NPP strategy, I don't know whether they want to change Afenyo marking or not, but I have every confidence in Afenyo marking. He's a smart, sharp politician, and he clearly has great things that he's doing there in the mighty minority. But if for any reason the strategy dictates or it comes to bear, according to their calculations, that they need to rearrange things, whoever they are going to bring, I don't know whether it's Kojo or whoever, they have quite a bench of people. So what everybody must appreciate is that NPP is prosecuting a different strategy from what they have done in the past. And clearly, parliamentary fortunes have some sort of effect on the presidential fortunes. Right. They are moving into a tough tussle. Okay, and they need to get their strategy right.
There's a reality that you're confronting. I'm going to say it because it's obvious. You would have to take a leave of us at some point. The reality you confront, which Honorable and Piakobi did not take too kindly with the form and manner in which lawyer Martin Kpebu put it, is that this primaries, which Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has won decisively and convincingly, is a hill. The real mountain...
Did you say convincingly? 56%.
It's convincing.
Let's stop throwing words. You said emphatic. What is emphatic
very
about
emphatic.
56?
You come up against 4 other people and you win 56.
I'm looking at
and somebody's doing 80, 90%.
I say this based on the gap between the next person behind me. That's the context. I hope you understand.
He should have been around 80%.
Hold on. If this outcome is the hill he has just climbed, the mountain you talk about with the baggage that you acknowledge that he's going into 2028 with the baggage, a number of which Martin Kpebu referenced.
Which is psychology. You confront it, sir.
Hold on. How is Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia going to navigate with this baggage that you acknowledge?
We will tell you.
In 2028.
Easy, see.
It's easy.
No. I want to say I don't mean it easy. Like I keep telling you, I'm not sitting their strategy. But for me, you see, time heals most things.
Sure.
Today, we are talking about naming the airport after removing Kotoka's name. At the time that we named, or the people at the time named the airport after Kotoka, he was the national hero. Over time, today, he's not. Okay? That is why NPP had to shift their strategy to buy themselves more time. All right? Between now and when that tussle actually starts, anything can happen. Like I told you, we woke up one day, we had 30 tons of gold. Within the space of 1 week, without any policy articulation or whatever it is, somebody sold 18 tons of that gold. All right?
Yeah.
It is.
Last week I even corrected him. We corrected him.
It's a decision that they made.
Serious.
What I'm saying is that
that was addressed.
No, don't be doing
the point I'm making.
God will let you
It's a typical pedestrian comment that you have to do.
Let me make my point. I am not discussing who or why or what. I say in one day we had 30 tons of gold. We woke up 1 week after we had 18 tons of gold.
You decided like a foul to sit on gold. You decided like a foul to sit on the gold.
However you make your decision, that's fine. What I'm saying is that if 1 week you make such a major decision, over 3 years, a lot of decisions can be made. The effect of those decisions we all live to see. But this is why NPP needs to buy a long time to be able to prosecute that campaign, deal with all these issues. Then they will arrive at that position where they want to arrive at. It is definitely possible. Because a year in politics is a long time. They've just bought themselves 3 years and a solid mandate. If you go up against 4 other smart people, including formidable people like Ken and Co., and you come up with more than half, first shot, straight out. And I keep telling you, Bawumia is a plucked chicken. He's somebody who has been scrutinized for 20 years. If he gets this kind of showing, after all that has been said, against people like Brian, against people like Kennedy Agyapong, who everybody said was a formidable guy, look at his performance. So that should reflect on the kind of person Dr. Bawumia is. He has 3 years to prosecute on this agenda. I have no doubt to do a good job.
But the other narrative as well is that, look, compared to 2023, he's lost over 7,000.
7,000 in the space of 100,000 votes. All right?
Negligible.
After coming from the kind of general election problems they had. And look at the nature of this election itself. The headwinds that he had to deal with. People from within saying all kinds of things, including things that were not true. And all the things that he dealt with.
Including the things that Martin has been saying that are not true.
Consistently every week. Okay?
Please.
And look, let me tell you something. Your strength is a function of your opponent's strength. The strength of NDC today is reflecting on NPP. So even if they are strong, given the strength, today we are all wearing fugu in support of President Mahama. It's extremely popular. Okay, so they are looking at that and asking themselves, who is the best person to do this for us? That impacts Dr. Bawumia. Martin every day comes here and blasts him. It impacts him. So in the face of all of these things, if he comes out with 57%, that shows you the strength of the man. Now give him 3 years to repair and deal with that baggage. I believe we've been a very good.
Let me properly introduce, please. I will stay on the baggage a bit. Let me introduce.
Is he going to wake up Kama?
Properly.
Who died, Dr. Agyapong?
Godwin Jujita is Chief Executive Officer of the National Petroleum Authority. There was something you asked of the NPU to do. He's also a member
already
of the
I was monitoring.
Yes,
And
so you just
as part
quickly
of
respond to that.
Regulatory oversight over the various outlets is one of the things that we look for. In fact, when you apply to set up an outlet, if we don't see evidence that you're going to have a place of convenience, it will not be approved.
The problem was the enforcement. And
No, so even with the enforcement, one of the things that we do for our regional offices is to go there. So when you look at the newer stations in all the regions, you can see that it's the fewer stations that have better places of... Look, I wouldn't want to promote anybody's business. I remember going to Hohoi. When I needed a place of convenience, it was a fuel station I went. And I had in mind that that place will look neater and better because of the work our officers with the inspectorate directorate do. So it is something we don't take lightly at all, because sometimes nobody knows. You just enter there and nature will decide to call. And you would have to, and you don't want to enter a washroom and the place is so terrible and others. I mean, even the court complex. You know, sometimes the way we struggle with the place. Sometimes you go, there's no water, there's no... But then our enforcement mechanisms are on it in terms of compliance. But I want to say good morning to all my distinguished senior. My father is Senior Brother.
To say one thing about the toilets and the gas station. It's commendable. We need to have that.
Yes. And the old stations.
Yeah,
one
way to
come
get
up.
it always on track is to perhaps introduce a kind of sanitation license. In other words, your officers, when they go, they have to grade it.
Yes.
So if the
more like a checklist.
Precisely.
A checklist. So among all other things, for the year, without that, you know, your checklist will not go.
Precisely.
You can also use part of your intelligence generated funds to provide more places of convenience.
There are too many of them.
No. This is a national priority.
No problem. I mean, it's
promoted by Martin with my support.
It's worth considering.
Because Martin introduced it, I support him on this occasion. So if you have some funds that you can commit to creating...
So good morning to everyone this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is what made this prediction. 57%. That's actually... The outcome on the day was this particular actual, which we'll get into, you know. But you were quite clear in your mind that this is where we were going. And the actual, even though 56.5 thereabout, you round it up, it's still 57%. You put Kennedy Agyapong 28% as against 24. That's a drop of 4%. Now, that's even beyond your margin of error, plus or minus 3.
Yeah.
So what happened?
It's clearly a collapse of a campaign at the dire end of all the hard work that he's put in. The video that was released on Monday, I think 19th of January, I think, was the straw that broke the camel's back. He was already not pulling enough to win, but he was there to stay a bit competitive. Then he threw in this grenade in his own campaign, and then Brian benefited.
I see. So it's for you, you put it all down to that video.
Oh, yes. I mean, clearly, you see, as we mentioned here before, he was doing okay, but from the 20th, 21st, 22nd onwards, we saw a gradual decline in the numbers on daily basis, and that was not sustainable to keep him competitive.
I see. And then Dr. Brian Agyapong, 19%.
From 13%.
You put it up. Your prediction was that he was going to get 13%.
Plus or minus 3%.
Plus or minus 3. And he pulled 19% on the day.
Yeah, he did 3% more than what we thought he could do.
6 percentage points more than what you predicted for him.
Yeah, our prediction, remember, includes 13% plus margin of error of 3%. That would have taken him to about 16% upper limit of the poll.
Right.
He went 3% more than the upper limit, which is extremely well.
And where did that 3% come from?
They all came from Kennedy. Kennedy just dropped everything. Just dropped everything.
So Dr. Brian Agyapong was the biggest gainer from...
Bawumia didn't move. He didn't benefit from the collapse of Kennedy. Neither did Agyapong or Iduchum.
Right.
It went straight from Ken to Brian.
I see. Why did Dr. Brian Agyapong become the biggest beneficiary of Kennedy Agyapong's campaign collapse?
They share the same demography and the same regions. Their strength is drawn from the Akan regions. And when he was dropping there, they wouldn't go to Bawumia. And they didn't see Edichum or Agyapong as the viable candidate. And to look into the future, they think that let's give you this guy. Even if he doesn't win, he becomes our future hope.
I see. So your theory is that Kennedy Agyapong and Dr. Brian Agyapong had the same typography of supporters.
Yes, yes.
I see. And that's what we saw play out. But
Yes.
you see, you gave Dr. Yause Duchum 2%. The actual was just about 1%.
Margin of error.
I see. That we can move. But then again, this is how it looks like. And then when we go to this,
Yeah, we're just comparing the two data, the same thing. We can just go that.
It tells a story, and I want us to look at the original because
Let's go next.
the original. You talk about the non-disclosed because this was a big
part of the predictions.
Yes, let's stay with this.
In the there were 21% people who were not disclosing. We gave 3% of them to Brian, 7% of that 21% to Dr. Brian Agyapong, and 9% of that to Bawumia, and 1% to Edichum. Kennedy, 3% became minus 2%. He lost
Even
in that block.
amongst the non-disclosed.
He lost, yes, he
bracket.
lost it, yes. Because in the end, he got 2% less than what we were saying he was going to get. And Brian moved from 7% to 13%, nearly doubling his performance among the non-disclosed people. Bawumia remained flat again. And Edichum also lost 1. So all the drops went to Brian Agyapong.
I see. And it was also here, the non-disclosed bracket, a big beneficiary in there as well.
Yes.
What worked for him, even amongst the non-disclosed population?
Look, let's look at the things that Ken brought to the table. One, he has money. Brian too has money. It's employed people. Brian too has employed people. Grassroots support. Brian too has shown that he gets for the grassroots. He pays for the grassroots. He was fiery. Ken was fiery, abreast. Brian was fiery, but more refined. He could attack without vulgar language, without language that seemed to be a bit overboard. And then Ken is older, Brian is younger. So everything you're looking for in Ken, you get that in Brian.
Right.
And Brian offered a youthful age and more refined communicator who wouldn't make guff. So I think he it made it easy for the people to switch to Brian than stick with him.
So you agree with Kofi Mentel's point that Dr. Brian Agyapong came out of this election with the highest momentum?
I said before that after the election, Bawumia can't celebrate, even though he will win. And Kennedy will be disappointed. The only person who will celebrate, even though he will lose, was Brian.
And that's what came
Yes.
to pass. If you say Bawumia can't celebrate, is it because of the fact that compared to, say, 2023, he performed lesser?
See, on the face of it, people were looking at 61% to 57%. But technically, you look at the margin between the difference between where he is, 57, and where the main challenger is, which is 24. The gap is about 33% now. In the last election, it was 23%. So he has kind of doubled, increased his percentage by almost 10%.
In terms of, if you look at it,
margin,
that is
yes, margin
of victory.
Yes, margin of
over and
victory.
above.
Yes,
the-
that's why it's emphatic this time than before.
I see. So, but if you say that even though he's won, he will not be celebrating, what do you mean?
Because people were saying that he hasn't performed the same way as he did last time. Because they were focused on the 61, 57,
Yes.
down 4%.
No, but you had stated even before the election that he will win, but he will not celebrate.
Yes,
What influenced that?
here's the difference. Because I was doing the ordinary analysis, which many people were doing. Oh, 61, I feel we have 57 pay, Aswati. That kind of analysis on the street, that is the language of the street. And on that basis, I think he will feel that he hasn't performed as well as last time. His hope was that he was going to do the same 61% or so.
Yeah.
Then he had the bragging right. But that was denied by Brian, obviously.
But if you look at the regional breakdown, which we're going to get into, some of the regions, even though he won, that's Dr. Bawumia won, it wasn't, that compelling a victory, right?
Yes.
We'll get into that in a bit. But Professor Bafwa-Jimendua, you had concerns about the influence of money because, Musah Dankwa, you mentioned, how persons in this race had the resource and the money and how it influenced the campaign. Why is that a major concern?
Well, this is not a new concern. The issue of money has been raised throughout the 33 years of our republic. And it seems to be increasing, and it's being pursued in different ways today, but still very dominant. And the concern has been the extent to which such inducements will influence people to make choices, and whether the choices they make are good for the country. Because if you allow yourself to be influenced by money making your choices, that means the real interests of the state will not be your concern. And that is a major issue that prevails in most democracies. Even recently in the United States, I read that serious concerns are being raised about how the elite IT people are influencing the current government. I mean, if Ed Musk can give $200-300 million to make sure people win, then the whole essence of democratic rule is viciously, violated. So people are not going to elect people based on their competencies and what they think will be good for the country, but on the basis of how much you have to influence them. And I'm just hoping there's a way. We've been talking a lot about state funding, and that is not an easy one because, again, there are so many political entrepreneurs in our society. Once we say state funding, maybe Martin and I would team up and form a party, and with our influence, we get the money from the state for nothing. So I think there must be serious thoughts about how we prevent this. And at some point, I think our friends at the NDC introduced a good idea of opening it up to all candidates as a way of telling candidates you cannot go and bribe how many millions of people. And unfortunately, that did not proceed, right? So I think we have a real task of finding ways to limit the extent of money in how we elect our candidate, because it's very dangerous. We cannot abdicate the right to elect people of competence to rule us simply because those with money are able to dictate who becomes the president and who becomes the parliamentarian. Please,
consider.
Just a quick one on this.
We need to demonetize the system of elections. The only way to do that, in fact, and your reference to the NDC approach is quite in order, but we as members of a political party must contribute to the development of the party. So it must be a case that members of the party must be in good standing, and let all members in good standing, by show of your commitment to the party, payment of dues and all that. And we're saying that every constituency, maybe we are getting a delegate of 600 people for the constituency. Let 1,000 or 3,000 come with cards, paid dues and all that, and you come and you go through a ballot, yes or no. So we have 3,000 yes, no's, we have 600 yes. Those who pick the yes proceed to go and vote, so that you don't identify the delegates before the voting. Once it is possible to identify delegates to come and vote, people will buy delegates. Yeah. If we even open up, like everybody, card-bearing member, come and vote, you need 3,000, you buy 3,000 people to come and vote for you on the day.
Exactly.
So the way to do it is make sure that the delegates are unknown before the action. So we are getting 600 people to come and vote in Asante Achim North constituency. Let us admit 3,000 or 4,000 members of the party in good standing, having paid dues. That money is going to sponsor the event. So we don't need anybody's money. Then you come to the voting center, 4,000 of you. We have a ballot of 3,000 no, 600 yes, all mixed together. Go through the ballot. Pick a yes and proceed to vote there and then. Pick a no and come back. So that you are not known as a delegate even before you come to the station. Okay. And you are not known as a delegate even before you vote. And when you pick a yes ballot, you go straight to vote. So if somebody goes to vote and you want to still give him money, that's up to you.
All right.
So that you will not be influenced by the money before you exercise your vote. There we can talk about people who are competent to lead us.
Probably.
So let's refine that one.
Exactly.
And
That's
make
what
sure
I'm
that
saying.
we don't know the delegates before they go to do the
the
voting.
political elite.
I also have a point.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
Metro,
That's a good point.
1 minute on it. You know,
no, I'll
since
come to
Musah Dankwa came out with the statistics showing that majority of them are JH